Good morning. Hello, everyone. How are we all doing this fine day? I am going to be streaming some game design stuff shortly. So if you all just give me a couple of moments to get things set up, because I accidentally made some mistakes with getting prepped. But like as soon as wrong thing I grabbed. As soon as I fix that, we will be all set to start doing this. Alpha. For the love of God. Why must... There we go. That's much better. Alright, so let's chuck that over here. Pull that down. Yeah, this is also a behind the scenes stream, apparently. There we go. Alright, cool. So, that's what we're doing today. Let me just quickly tweet out that we are in fact now live, and then we can get on this crazy train ride of player misery. Because yeah, this is not a game where the characters all have a fun, nice day. It's not that kind of game. No, it is not. Let's tweet. Alright, there's that news going out. Might as well put it on the math squad as well. Alright, cool. Let's do this thing. How do I view chat on my phone? How do I do that? Alright, cool. So, yeah, let's talk about this game. So, I am Luke. This is my channel that you're in. I do a bunch of game design stuff. I stream games very occasionally. And at the moment, I'm in the middle of prep for an upcoming game convention here in Australia. It's called Phenomenon. It's been running since like 1983, I think. Which I think makes it like the last of the old school Australian cons still running. Because Arcanacon down in Melbourne had to close up shop this year, and Necronomicon in Sydney hasn't been running for a while. And so like those three cons, the like big three Australian game conventions, were very much like like your Go Play Northwest or your Big Bad Con in the US, right? Like they were small indie game conventions where predominantly people were streaming games that they had written themselves, that were very much like not trade shows, because this was Australia back in the 80s and it was worth like absolutely no one's time or money to come to these conventions and try and sell anything. And so, yeah, that's Phenomenon. And this year, like most years, I am running a game for them. And because everything in my life has to be just like completely over the top and ridiculous, I am writing a game completely from scratch. In like system, setting, plot, character, like everything. Everything is being written from the ground up, like I do every year. So let's just like to begin with, let's just have a look at the Feno website. Boom. Whoa. Boom. There we go. So, this is the blurb of my game on the Feno website. You yourselves can find it by going to www.feno.org.au/triptych, TRIPTYCH, I think. And if you then just look for As Blossoms Fall, you will find it. You can also read a little bit more about what the triptych is, why I'm low-key, like, shitting myself about this game being good and successful. Haha. So yeah, I mean, yeah, as this blurb kind of talks about, I'm just gonna give you the very cliff notes, right? Like, this is the story of a place called the Shoku Valley in, like, a mythic pre-feudal Japan. There are a number of clans who all lay claim to this valley through various, like, they all have political claims to it, and they all have kind of mystical religious claims to it, and they all have just, like, the claims of long practice. And things have been stable for a fair while, for a fair few generations, but tension has increasingly been growing, and of late, like, the dam is about to break, right? And so this is a game about what happens when it does. This is a single session game. It's going to last for 3 hours, because that's how long I have at the con. About 5 champions torn between their duty to their tribes and the bonds of feeling that tie them to each other. Forced to choose what they will save, what they will give up, and what they will destroy. So this is very much like leaning into that very Buddhist Japanese trope of, like, giri, or duty to larger societal structures, and ninjo, human feeling. And these two things as being, like, fundamentally incompatible. You cannot devote yourself to both at the same time. Like, all that will come of that is greed and misery and suffering. And in fact, you can't, like, you know, choosing one over the other always inevitably means some pain in the opposite direction. So this game is, you know, this is a happy game. All of the players have, like, a nice day. No, it is a sad game. I have tagged accordingly. Everyone knows what they're getting in for. Here we go. Let's scroll down. Let's just see a little bit more. Yeah, right. So it's characterization heavy, which I've told people because that's an important thing for them to know. It's system-like but system-driven. This is theoretically a Powered by the Apocalypse game, but it's, like, Powered by the Apocalypse by way of Hillfolk, if anyone is familiar with that. Like, the idea in Hillfolk that, emotional intention is what matters, and not, like, how you're actually trying to do it, if that makes sense. Like, all of the moves are, like, demand something, request something, right? Like, deny someone, reject someone. Like, I don't care if you're using, you know, like, your magical connection to the gods, or your sword, or your political nous. Like, I don't care how you're doing it. That's Poetic Slayer shit. And in this game, that's meaningless. It's irrelevant. It doesn't actually matter. I mean, it's cool from a flavor perspective, but it's not mechanically relevant. And so this game is going to have, like, no playbooks, like, no dice, 9 basic, maybe 10 technically, like 10 basic moves only, and, like, a bunch of them are, like, variations on each other. So there's 3 emotional actions in this game, right? Ask for a thing, take a thing, say no. That's it, right? And, like, so asking for a thing can be as gentle as, like, make a request, and as heavy as, like, make a threat. And, like, say no can be as light as, like, deflect someone, and as heavy as, like, reject someone and who they are and what they stand for in your relationship with them as well. But, like, there's 3 basic categories of action that the characters are ever doing mechanically. And then, like, there's a move for using your, like, all of you, like have past relationships with each other. So there's a move for using the knowledge of them that you have through that, to kind of, like, get it information and to gain advantage. And that move is like a little bit like the trust mechanic in The Mountain Witch, where like you put trust in your fellow PCs, and then but you have to trust the character too, because otherwise they can turn around and stab you at the back in the 5th act. It's a little bit like that, and it's a little bit like the read someone's soul, or whatever the move is called in Sagas of the Icelanders, where you spend bonds to ask questions. It's somewhere in between those. This is a competitive game. It's a PvP game, right? Like this game almost inevitably will have to escalate to violence, and will get really nasty. But of course, we're good players. We're gonna have a nice spiel at the beginning about boundaries, and we're gonna have an X card, and we're gonna take care of ourselves because that's important. Yeah, that's the game. So let's actually write this thing. So if we go back to OBS, let me show you in a window. What do we want to look at? Let's look at document 3. Okay. So this, if I zoom out a little so you can see all of it. Can we see all of it now? Yeah, we can. Okay, cool. This is the game. This diagram is the game. In the corners are 4 of my 5 characters. Sayaka, Tsutomu, Yasu, and Honoka. They are all representatives of the clans that live in the valley. Yasu is a bastard, which is why he is in a strange color that does not match anyone else. And basically, for your ease of reading, actually, fuck it, I'm going to zoom this in slightly, so that you can it's actually legible. It's more important than you be able to read all of it at once. There we go. Is that better? Yeah, we can even go a little bit further in. There we go. Yep. Okay, cool. Yeah. So, the stuff in orange. So orange is one tribe, is one clan. Gray is another clan. Blue is another clan. Green is positive relationships with those things. Red is negative relationships with those things. And then the brown guy is a bastard. And so as a result, doesn't fit neatly into any categories. And then there is a 5th character, Kaito, who is an outsider. He doesn't come from the valley. He does not belong to any of the clans in the valley. He is very, very deliberately from outside this whole structure. And as a result, he's not in this diagram. He doesn't come into the game with ties to any of these NPCs. He comes into it with ties to the power structures of the valley. Because he, light spoilers, if you are planning on playing this game and you're allergic to literally any kind of spoiler, please turn away now. He is sworn to the storm god, Susanoo no Mikoto, who is the patron god of the valley. And so he has his own totally different set of obligations and totally different expectations on him. So he's not playing his own game, but he's definitely somewhat apart from the others in terms of what he's up to. So this is a chart of all of the emotional demands in the game. Basically, the core tension of this game is as follows, right? All of these characters have duties. All of them have desires, right? Giri and Ninja. What you want, your human feeling, societal obligation. All of them have demands that are made by the duties that they have to their clan. All of them have demands that are made by their own hearts. This is a diagram of the demands made by their own hearts. So as you can see, literally every NPC on this diagram, that's all the people who aren't PCs, every NPC is being directly is in the middle of a tug of war, right? Like Kenji Hamashima, who we can see here, in the top middle, just under the gods of the deep dark, right? Kenji Hamashima, Sayaka wants to spare him, Tsutomu wants to hurt him. Tokiko Nakatsuka, if we look over to the middle right, Tsutomu wants to protect her because they're girlfriends. It's very sweet. Yasu wants to remove her, and how brutal that is very much up to his player. And that's because she's got a grudge against his boyfriend, and you know, it's all this messy fucking interpersonal shit, right? So these are all the characters' desires. All of these desires are incompatible with each other, but that's not so. Main conflict of the game: all the characters have desires, all the characters have duties. They are fundamentally incompatible, right? One of Sayaka's desires, as we just said, is to spare Kenji Hamashima. One of her duties is to, like, remove him, because he is a threat to her clan. One of them is to fuck him up. Right? Like, one of her duties is to protect her sister. Junko Yamashita, immediately below, on the middle left, right? One of her duties is to fucking abandon her... Like, her duties is just, like, fuck your sister, right? The clan is more important. Even, like, yes, your sister is the leader of the clan, right? But the clan as a whole, as a structure, is more important. And the gods of the clan are most important of all. Fuck your sister. So, all of these characters are going to have to choose first between duty and desire. They're going to have to choose. Do I obey the demands of my heart, or do I obey the demands of my duty? Which of those is more important to me? And then, having made those choices, I guarantee you, this will still leave them in conflict, right? The goal, because my, like, goal as a game designer here, my intention, is to make sure that both this diagram and the, like, complementary diagram that doesn't exist yet, for the duties, overlap in such a way that if everyone chooses duties, everyone is still in conflict. If everyone chooses demands, everyone is still in conflict. And if half of them choose one or the other, everyone is still in conflict. No matter what each of them chooses individually, they are still, as characters, as PCs, they are still going to be engaged in tugs of war over certain characters. And at that point, they have to decide, how badly do I want this, right? Because they have relationships with each other. We'll get to that when we look at the character sheet in a bit, right? They have relationships to each other. And so they have to choose, and this is where it gets very dogs in the vineyard, right? They have to be like, do I want to spare Kenji Hamashima? Do I want to spare him enough to kill Tsutomu? Right? Like, do I want it that much? Do I want it enough to, like, sever my relationship with her? Does it mean that much to me? And everyone then has to make some very messy decisions about that and escalate back and forth, and it's all going to end up in a glorious bloodbath. And it is entirely possible, given that a couple of these characters have, like, a god touched, right? Sayaka in the top left is the Miko, the shrine keeper of the gods of the deep dark. Honoka, down in the bottom left, is the, like, emissary of the fox gods of the valley, and is at least rumored to be a grandchild of Oinari. And, you know, Yasu and Tsutomu are more or less normal, and then Kaito, who's not shown, right, is, like, a devotee of Susanoo no Mikoto. So it's entirely possible that the game will end with one of these characters being like, yes, I seize by force the entire valley. And what does that look like? It looks like it being flooded by Susanoo, it being, like the entire thing fucking being undermined and crumbling by the gods of the deep dark, or it being, like, overrun by, like, fucking horse-sized demonic foxes spitting fire and, like, killing everything, right? Like, that can happen. This game can go, like, very much in the brutal bloodshed direction if people want. So, in terms of where I am at, I am running a playtest tonight. Hopefully it will go well. So I'm running a playtest tonight, and I have some stuff I still need to do, because it's not done yet. Most of the characters don't have their duties written yet, so I still got to do that. And I've still got a strong 2/3 of the moves have yet to be written. all of the asking moves, so make a request, make a demand, make a threat, they've all been written. I'm happy with them, at least for a playtest. So I need to write all of the taking moves, seize by cunning, seize by daring, seize by force. I need to write all of the say no moves, deflect someone, deny someone, reject someone. I need to figure out the list of questions that Spending Trust lets you ask people. And I need to write the duties. And I've got, at time of recording, Jesus, okay, so like, probably I want to be done by 5:30 if I want to have time to print shit. When does Officeworks close? Okay, if I'm being generous, I've got 7 hours. Probably I've only got 6. Maybe even less because it's a Sunday and I've still got to print shit. Right? So like, I gotta get going. I gotta fucking go. So, at this point, I am just gonna start working. I will try and remain engaging, but I make no guarantees. I will try and talk out loud and talk through my process. If anyone is watching, if anyone is out there, if you want to drop any questions or suggestions in the chat, you're very welcome to do so. I would love to get some other eyes on this and to get some other brains on this. Normally, that's my housemate's curse, but this morning I decided to give them a reprieve. Alright, so I am just going to open up, if I can figure out which one it is. We're going to grab Tsutomu. Nope. Wrong document. Nope. Wrong document. Where is... Oh, okay. I haven't copied Tsutomu across yet. Okay, there we go. So let's try that. Let's... Yeah, okay. Alright, you should be able to see it now. Yep, cool. Alright, so I'm also then just going to open Sayaka so that I have a form template. There we go. Alright, so this is what we are writing today, right? Because all of these are for another character, which means, whoa, that's a very pale red. What's going on here, Open Office? I want a proper red. That's much better. Yeah, so all of these are for another character, which is why I'm putting them in red. We need to replace them and write Tsutomu's own personalized versions, right? So, duties, Act 1 duties, all require the other PCs. They all demand the involvement of the other PCs. You can't get them by talking to NPCs. Also, just for sake of convenience of the game, in the first act, when you're trying to pursue these, like the NPCs aren't there. They're all like at a step of remove. So the players are all like representatives of, right? So Act 1 duties are all things that you need the other PCs to accomplish, and they're all soft goals, right? It's like, oh, like, discuss reparations for this, or like, try and secure some food, or like, negotiate access to this, right? Like, it's all soft shit. Act 3 duties, if we scroll down, and we have a look at Sayaka's, right? Act 3 duties, again, we're back to the tug of war on NPCs, and they're all fucking awful, right? Abandon your sister, remove your ex-lover, kill your son. He's been kidnapped by one of the other clans and is maybe gonna give up clan secrets, which is why he needs to die. And, like, capture the boyfriend of another character. Right? Boom. That's, like, and there's no wiggle room, and they're all, like, very concrete, like, do this, do this, do this, do this. And then Act 2 is kind of somewhere in the middle, right? Like, it's all kind of, like, slightly wishy-washy stuff where it's, like, well, wishy-washy is the wrong word, right? Like, it's all somewhere in the middle, right? It's like, oh, like, threaten, like, okay, you need this thing. Sorry. Yeah, right? Like, you need them to stop, your clan demands that they stop their They stop the mining efforts in the mountains, right? Like that is an absolute demand that has to stop. And so it's like, yeah, you know, your duty demands that you like approach them and like threaten them, right? Like try and get them to stop. You know, it demands that you hurt this guy because he like has fucked with your clan. It demands that you like approach the fox gods and somehow negotiate access to some stuff, right? Like they're all kind of like one step more serious in terms of their goals, but again, they're like kind of like, like how do you go about it? We don't really mind, and if you have another idea how to get the same result, like that's fine. Duty is okay with that. And they're all like they're your soft power moves, right? They're like they're make a demand, make a demand. They're like make a request to make a demand, like seize by cunning or maybe seize by daring, like deny someone or deflect someone, right? But like none of them require that you seize anything by force. None of them require that you make a threat. None of them should. I need to work on the wording of those first and fourth ones I can now see, because they shouldn't use the word threat yet. But that's fine. That's a problem I can fix. As they say, perfect is the enemy of done. And so that's basically the structure here. So I'm just gonna settle right in, and I'm gonna start having a look at Tsutomu. So this is not right. So whoa, what the? That is not the font that we're meant to be using. Garamond, why is it so small? Okay, so your duty demands that you approach the Gomori. Your duty demands that you approach the Gomori. Your duty demands that you approach the Yayoi. Your duty demands that you approach the Yayoi. Why I'm maintaining this distinction of language, right, is that in every mechanical combination of characters, because of the way this game has been designed, right? So if you're the Tatara, you want to approach those two. Whichever clan you are, you want to approach the other two clans. Necessarily that means that for at least one clan, sometimes, as in this case, two, there is always going to be two representatives on the board for one clan because of the bastard. And so I word it as you got to approach the clan because it's up to you which of the PCs you want to, like, how you want to play this, right? Like, if you want to be like, hey, bastard, like, I'm from your other clan, like, you like us better, help us out, right? Like, that's a valid approach. Or you do the opposite. You're like, ugh, that bastard, we don't like him, yeah, blah, blah. Let's go talk to the actual fucking proper representative with the real power. Up to you. So, your duty demands that you do this. Now, what do the Tatara want? So let's copy this, right? Right, so this is what they want. Right, here are their goals. So it's I'm not going to show it to you, but it's worth noting that both of the tribes who aren't both the clans who aren't the Yayoi want to obtain a long-term independent supply of food, precisely because they are dependent upon the Yayoi for food production. And all they can do is like use their more specialized skills to trade for access. So like that's a thing. And like one thing I very much want to see, I really want to see, is at least one player in there, however God knows how many sessions I'll be running. I want to see at least one player be like, yeah, I'm going to make a threat, and the threat is, we're cutting off your food. That would be great. I would be really into that. That would be a good fun time. Alright, so Alright, so, like, there's big goals here, there's little goals. What do we want to start with? What's our comparable? Actually, so that one we can pretty much just copy paste, right? Because they want they want wood as much as anyone else does, more so, in fact, even. So we're just gonna I'm just gonna straight copy that one across for a slightly different reason. So your duty demands it, blah blah blah. Why? You need a steady supply of firewood to keep the forges stoked and the smith fires hot. Boom, right? Done. Easy. Again, everyone... like, the Yayoi have a lot of the really practical needs, right? Like, no one... The Yayoi have all of the food and the wood, which both of the other clans need, right? And they're the most numerous. Which, like, you would think that means that they are, like, clearly the dominant power structure, but the highest level of technology they have access to is, like, copper and bronze smithing. The Tatara makes steel. Like, Japanese, like, you know, the famous Japanese, like, Tamagahana steel. That's Tatara stuff. And so, and the Tatara have, like, massive, they build their towns in lakes, right? Like, they build, like, Cranog type. So they basically, like, okay, it's Irontown. It's fucking Irontown from Princess Mononoke, okay? Just imagine that, right? So their town is in the middle of a lake with big, high walls. They do have access to guns. Not a lot of access, but a little bit. And they have, like, proper fucking steel weapons. If it came to a fight, like... if the Yayoi are ever like, oh, no more food for you, like, let me tell you what will happen next. The Tatara will raid them, and they will probably win. Right? Like, it'll be like steel weapons against maybe bronze armor at best, and the Tatara will, like, there will be a fucking bloodbath. With the Gomori are builders, right? Like, their main expertise is they can mine really well and they build fortifications phenomenally well. That means they know how to sap and sabotage things really well. They're also sneaky. They also like poison. Right? So, like, similarly, if the Yayoi are ever like, oh, no more food for you, they're just gonna be like, okay, we're gonna sneak down in the middle of the night, collapse the walls we built for you, poison half of your tribe, and take the food that we want. And this is the large part, right, of why not a lot of conflict has happened in the past. But things are escalating, right? Oh my god, this webcam is mirrored. That's so freaky. I've only just realized that. Oh, I don't like that. Alright. So, alright, boom. So that one is no longer in red, because I'm happy with that. That is a perfectly solid duty, right? It demands that you approach the Nagai, negotiate access to the wood. What are you pissed about? Yeah. Okay, I like this. Yeah. So, your duty demands that you approach the Gomori and discuss reparations for the acts of sabotage that have plagued and delayed your recent mining efforts. They may not admit to it, but you know they are responsible. Are they? Yes. Almost certainly, right? Like, for the Gomori, it's a religious thing. They believe that anything below the ground is theirs by divine right. Yeah, right. Like anything below the ground, right? Coal, steel, iron ore, all that shit. All of that was given to them by the gods of the deep dark, by sacred divine right. And anyone who tries to take it and use it for themselves is blaspheming. And so the Tatara are like horrible blasphemers. And so, like, fuck you. Of course we're going to sabotage your mining efforts. You are, like, blasphemous, sacrilegious devils, and we hate you. Easy. So, cool. What do I like here? Oh, actually, God, this is... A lot of these, actually, it turns out, are going to be fairly similar mirrors of each other. Your duty demands that you approach the Yayoi and inquire if they are willing for an exchange of knowledge about Gomori architecture. Perhaps together you can unlock the secrets and shut out the Gomori, right? Like, fucking basically the same goal, because, again, right, like, each of the tribes have a monopoly. Two of them have skill monopolies, which is why other tribes are like, if we team up and combine what we've learned about them, we can fuck them over. Alright, so we need one more that relates to the Gomori. Yeah, okay, I like that. Yeah, your duty demands that you approach the Gomori and request that they... No, I don't like request. I feel like negotiate is also... Approach the Gomori and organize, no. Deal, no. Plan, no. What is the word I want? Fuck it, I'm gonna use negotiate. It's a placeholder. And negotiate for their architects and masons to work on a new design for your smith halls and forges that will waterproof them against rain and storm. Boom. Because one of the big issues, obviously, that the Tatara have, right, as people doing blacksmith work with fire in a valley sacred to a storm god, is that this is a lush valley. It rains, it drizzles, it storms, and it fucks their attempts to forge half the time. In fact, if we scroll slightly up on her character sheet... Yeah, you resent the storm god, Susanoo no Mikoto. It is he who commands the village, right? The rains that drench the fire wouldn't slow the rains, the drizzle makes the air damp, complicates your walks, his torrential downpours that extinguish the forges, right? Like, they're not into it. They're not into the weather, they don't like it. And so they're like, hey, can you help us build something that will help us, that will not let that happen? That would be great. Cool. Boom. Nice. Alright. So, we're now just going to go through, and any of these things that are now... fuck that. We don't care so much about what they have. Yeah. Any of these entries that have now been addressed, partially or fully, we are now going to resolve, right? So, they want to steal Gomori secrets. They're trying to address that. They want to redesign their forges. They're trying to address that. They want to get revenge. They're trying to do that. And what was the other one that they're trying to do? Oh yeah, the fire, which isn't listed elsewhere, but is also definitely, like, they want wood. That's a good thing for them to want. So the question then becomes, right, like, what do we want to address in Act 2? What are their big... In Act 2, what do they want, right? And I'm going to argue it's this. They want this. Why does this always happen? I don't... Get out of there. I don't understand. Alright. They want that. Like, before it comes to war, they really want that because they don't want those foxes coming to fuck them. They want that. Definitely. Oh, yeah, that's nice. I like that. Because that, like, yeah, we can do some shit there. We can do some mean things that will make the players cry. They definitely want that. Because I can't tell you too much about it. It's a bit of a spoiler, but let's just suffice to say that that is like a thing that they will now be able to do. And yeah, they okay, it's this one, right? It's this one because, so the big secret of the Tatara, and again, if you are going to play my game, and spoilers are something that concern you, please cover your ears now, because I'm about to drop one. So the Tatara, like many historical Japanese groups that did swordsmithing, they don't mine. They don't like refine iron ore from the mountains into steel. They dig up sand, iron sand, from the bottom of the lake. So they built in the lake because it was full of iron sand. The sand is running out. That's the big secret, right? Like, over recent years, the sand is running out. During Act 2, the sand runs out. The last of the dregs, they scrape the bottom of the barrel, and at that point, they have to have another supply. Why? Right? Like, because having steel, being able to sell steel, is the only thing that lets them eat and stay alive. So they have to have new steel once that happens. The only way they can get it is by mining, which puts them into conflict with the Gomori. The only people who might know where it is are the Gomori, who sure as fuck aren't going to tell them, right? Like, massive explosion, badness ensues. That's the game. All right. So, second act duties. Let's work on this. So, your duty demands that you approach the Yayoi and convince them to well, so here's a question. If anyone is watching, I would really love another person's input on this, because my brain is kind of like, I have no strong preference, but I have a very strong feeling that one of these options is better than the other. Do they, like, for this one, right? Like, do they do that through the Yayoi, or is it just fuck it, right? Is it they do the first part themselves, and then they go and they approach the fox gods about it? Like, which is more interesting? If they have to go and negotiate with the fox gods, or, because here's the thing, right? And I probably haven't talked about this enough yet, right? The fox gods are the patrons of the Yayoi. They are related, like, many, many generations back. And the Yayoi see anyone else trying to have a relationship with them of any kind as, like, fucking with them. I think, no, it's gonna be through the fox gods, because the Gomori will also be going, the Gomori are also doing the same thing, right? Because, like, so of these, right, this one is to deal with the High Priest. This one will happen through the Gomori. I don't know how yet. This one will happen through the Yayoi. I don't want to be, like, only representative of the Tatara, focus entirely on the Yayoi and just ignore the Gomori. I don't want to do that because that's not interesting. That's not messy enough. So instead, if I say, there's one duty about each of the other clans, there's one duty about the new High Priest, and there's a duty about the Fox Gods, which will put you in conflict with everyone, right? Because one of the High Priests, one of the Outsider's duties as a representative of Susanoo, I can guarantee you, one of his duties will be like, deal with the fucking fox gods. And the Yayoi characters will both definitely have protect the fucking fox gods. Like, the fox gods task, everyone is in conflict over the fox gods in Act 2. Everyone is quietly negotiating and trying to fuck with the fox gods, which I like. That's fucking perfect. No issues with that. So, that you approach the fox gods and and acquire access to their, it's the same thing, to their mountainside forests. Your people, yeah, okay, so perhaps it is true. Yeah, right. Tell them that your people, tell them that your clan have made peace with Oinari through their, his Oinari is a non-binary god, through their swordsmith's aspect, whether it is true or not. Tell them to have made peace with their Oinari through their swordsmith's aspect, regardless of the truth of that claim. Which leaves it up to the players, right? Because it is possible, and it might be quite interesting, if that's actually true. Right? Like maybe that's true. Maybe they genuinely have. Maybe they've turned away from just worshipping their ancestors. That's and again, right? Like, that's a decision that I think the player should be free to make about the clan that they're playing. That you hurt Akiya Sakano. The lead coppersmith. Probably bronzesmith. I'm gonna Google this in a bit. The lead coppersmith of the Yayoi. She works with stolen ore ripped from the sacred earth. Oh, wait, no, shit. Yeah. I'm thinking like a Gomori for a moment. What does you have a relationship with her, don't you? Yeah, hey. Here we go. Yeah, let's make it nasty. Yeah. She and her clan, not aspire maybe? She and her clan would steal the sacred secrets, would steal your sacred knowledge of blacksmithing if they could punish them by crippling their own smith. Boom. Done. So hurt Akiya Sakano. Your duty demands that you befriend... Is befriend the right word? No. Okay, that you approach the new High Priest of Susanoo no Mikoto and negotiate safety and negotiate a peace. And negotiate peace and negotiate, a peace. It It is he who advises the god, the storm god, and controls the valley's flooding. And it is he who can protect or endanger your lake, your village, your lakeside town. Boom. And then this next one somehow has to be about the Gomori, but fucked if I can figure out how yet. I'm going to do some quick Googling about bronze and copper while I wait. Hopefully I'll have something. If anyone is there and has any suggestions... If anyone has any suggestions how to make that about the Gomori, that would be great. Okay, so it's bronze I'm thinking of. It's not copper, I don't think. What the fuck is brass? God damn. Why is smithing so difficult? Right, can you make weapons out of bronze? Yes. Good. Okay, and they're better than copper. Fuck. How good should they be? Did they have copper or bronze? No, fuck it. Okay. No, they have bronze. It is very specifically bronze, which, like, right, again, right? Sorry, it's copper. It's very specifically copper, because again, right, we're talking about tech level difference. It isn't like a bronze and steel gap, it's copper and steel. Right? Like, the difference in quality of tools and in quality of armaments between the Tatara and anyone else in the valley is fucking enormous. Especially because the Gomori are, like, fucking pre-industrial. They work with rock, right? Because they're... the Gomori are kind of like, in terms of tech level, kind of like loosely based on the Jomon people of Japan. So like literally, like, flint is like the peak of their technology level. Which, yeah, there's some slightly unresolved issues that have always existed there in terms of how the fuck are they then really good at excavation. But, like, someday I will have an answer to that question, but right now I don't give a shit. Alright, so that's good to know. Alright, so we're still... Yeah, okay, so we're sticking with copper. Alright, coppersmith. Good. Boom. Solid. Done. Alright, so... One last duty. So, your duty demands that you find a new source of iron sand. Your duty demands that you approach the Gomori and acquire... Is acquire the word I want? Yeah. And acquire access to their knowledge of the valley. And acquire access to their territory and their... And it's not acquire, it's negotiate. No, it's not. No, it is. It's not. It's fuck their territory. And acquire their knowledge of the valley's subterranean layout. The iron sand in your clan's lake is dwindling. You must have the Gomori of the valley's iron deposits. And you must replace it. And you must replace it soon. Boom. Nice. Because at this point in the game, everyone has gained access to the move for demand something. So depending on how you want to do it, you can rock up and just be like, give us the fucking knowledge right now. We demand that you give it to us. Or you can show up and be like, yeah, could you give it to us? That'd be nice. And make a request. And they're like, no, sorry, not possible. And they like gently deflect you. And then because they succeed and you fail. And then you're like, I'm not okay with this. I'm going to escalate. No, we're demanding it now. Give us the fucking iron. This is good. This is good content. Quality content, as they say. All right. And then the Act 3 stuff. Oh boy. Alright, so let's actually first let's just go back down here, right? So again, anything that we're now activating, we can hit up. So we're now hitting up that. We're now hitting up that. Yep, cool. All right. All right, I think I'm gonna call that quits there, guys. This has been really fun, and really good, and I hope you all have enjoyed it. But at the same time, I now have 5 hours, maybe less, to finish this game enough that I can print everything for the playtest tonight. And this is taking slightly longer than it does when I'm not being watched. I would really love to be able to keep working on it with you guys, but I don't quite have time. What I almost certainly will do is at some point in the near future, and I don't know when. I will probably stream the edit, right? Because I guarantee you, the result of tonight's playtest is not going to be the game is perfect. Literally nothing needs to change. That's not gonna fucking happen. It's just not. So I will almost certainly stream like the edit session, or at least some of them if I can. Maybe even because one thing that I probably won't have done in time for tonight, but I will definitely want to do in time for the con is structure the GM stuff, right? Like write up my moves and my principles and my agendas and stuff. And I'll almost certainly stream that for you all, because that I think will be really interesting. If you have enjoyed this stream and would like to support my streaming, or this VOD, if you watch it on YouTube. Yeah, if you'd like to support me continuing to stream stuff and continue to work on cool games like this, you can do that at my Patreon, www.patreon.com/gamesfromthewildwood. If you back me on there, almost certainly I'm going to start, I think this week, uploading some of the content from this game on there. So, like, putting up previews of some of the character sheets, maybe, because eventually I do plan to package this game for sale. Yeah, so if you want to get access to that, you can go there. If you would like to read how the playtest goes, because I'll probably be writing that up, you can read about how the playtest ends up, panning out. You can read about that on my blog, gamesfromthewildwood.blogspot.com.au. Where you can read about that. You can read about some other kind of like cool mini games and story games that I've designed. Eventually, once I get my shit together, you can read about the Powered by the Apocalypse like full-on game that I'm writing. And then if you would like to stay up to date with my stuff, and you would like to, like, for example, know when I am going to be streaming this kind of game design next, you can follow me on Twitter. Twitter.com/wildwoodsgames. Because I ran out of letters. But yeah, it's been a really nice morning. Thank you all very much. Bye.